It's finally time to tackle the next element in Punishing Gray Raven. Previously, I posted a video that was the top 3 dark units in Punishing Gray Raven, and now it is time to tackle the next element. And today, we are going to be talking about lightning. Lightning element units, it's a pretty stacked roster, and there are some really cool units, and some of my personal favorites are actually within the lightning element. So I'm really excited to talk about some of them today. Today we are also going to be covering who are the global units that you should look out for and prioritize, and who are some of the CN characters who are coming that you should keep an eye out for. Now, a caveat I always give to this, one of the cool things about Punishing Gray Raven is all characters are useful. They all have their given place, and depending on the state of your account and what characters you even have access to, don't be afraid to invest into them. The game is ultimately about fun, and if you need to sub in another unit that's not your personal favorite but you don't have the other one, that's totally fine. This is not an elitist video. This is not a build this team or bust kind of video. This is simply just talking about general power between the units in their respective roles. Speaking of respective roles, Punishing Gray Raven is a team-based game, so we can't just pick a top unit for all of the element because not one singular character can cover all of the bases. Well, maybe one minor exception in this case, but we'll talk about that a little more later on. So we're going to be looking at the various categories of tank, support, and DPS. We're going to look at the units that fall into each of those categories and prioritize who beats over who in each of them. Unfortunately, unlike the Dark team, there's not a one-to-one matchup or a one-on-one matchup for each of the categories. Some categories are actually bigger than other in the case of the Lightning units. So why don't we jump into that? But before we do, make sure to like and subscribe to the channel, guys. I greatly appreciate the support, and I hope you find this video useful. All right, on to the content. So the first category that we're going to be talking about is tank. Now this category, we do have a one-on-one matchup. So taking a look at the blue corner, we're going to be starting with Chrome Arclight. Chrome Arclight is an A rank unit, which is super helpful because he's farmable. So you can freely get him up to triple S+. Granted, it's going to take a bit of time. He is a scythe wielding unit who specializes in a little bit of burst and single target DPS, but his big game changer is his survivability. Chrome Arclight as a tank provides a shield to your unit that is currently on the field, and that's where he gets his primary utility from. He's not going to be doing crazy amounts of damage when he does transfer in. Being an A rank unit, their stats can never really match up to that. But outside of that, from a survivability standpoint, especially on some of the higher difficulty challenge modes, he can be really helpful for that. Especially if you're someone like me who's got a skill issue, then someone like Chrome Arclight is very helpful. But let's see who he matches up against in for the tank role. The other unit you can get for your lightning tank is Vera Garnet. Now Vera Garnet is an S rank unit, so she is more difficult to get than Chrome Arclight. But from a stat perspective, she definitely beats him hands down. Her single target burst and area of effect damage is crazy high, as well as she's able to reduce the lightning resistance of enemy units, which allows your DPS unit to do way more damage than you would have previously been able to use. Resistance Shred is big for high end game difficulty, so a unit like Vera Garnet really does bring you a long way. And I mean, she is flashy as heck. Chrome Arclight is cool, but just look how cool her combos look. And I must say, I'm a little bit biased here because she is one of my personal favorite units in all of Punishing Gray Raven. So I'm going to try and be as fair as I can on this one. Now, if you've been playing Punishing Gray Raven for any period of time now, you'll know that this is a hands down winner in this case with Vera Garnet. She outclasses Chrome Arclight in effectively every way with her ability to resistance shred and her crazy burst damage herself, as well as just fun and flashy gameplay that I personally really like. And I'm so sad that I've only been able to use her on trial stages because she's so much fun. I really am tempted to pull for her the next time she comes through. Maybe I'll cave. We'll see what happens. We'll see if my Discord can talk me down. But overall, she is a fantastic unit and she does take that tank slot. And as of right now, on the Meta Lightning DPS team, global and CN actually. She is the lightning tank of choice. So she's great from a future-proof perspective and a current perspective because she has not been power crept as of yet. And there's a lot of other units that are expected to be power crept before her. So she is not only a powerful unit, a really cool unit, but also a safe unit from a long-term investment perspective. So Vera Garnet does win. Again, to reiterate what I said before though, Chrome Arclight is still a good unit. If you only have him as an A rank, you can invest in him and use him as your tank for your lightning team, and he's still going to do great, and he's still going to help enable that full lightning team rotation. So I wouldn't say be afraid to invest in Chrome Arclight because he's still got that utility. But if you're comparing them one-to-one, Vera Garnet, hands down. So the next category we're going to talk about though is support. And well, full disclosure, this unit kind of wins by default. The current #1 support unit for a lightning team is Liv Lux. And that's because, well, she's the only lightning support unit currently in global. So there's that. Liv Lux overall is a fine unit. She's an A rank unit, so she is farmable. But her primary utility is going to be coming from her healing. Again, kind of similar to Chrome Arclight, where if you're having difficulty with survivability on a stage that you're trying to push through, and that's your biggest barrier, because again, skill issues galore, a unit like Liv Lux is going to be very helpful for keeping your team alive to just brute force your way through a stage. Her damage is not that great. It's nothing to write home about. And from a burst perspective, she can't do a lot of burst damage either. She's just very much there to heal your team and to keep that lightning rotation. That's pretty much it. However, things change a little bit when we turn our attention to CN. When we turn our attention to CN, there actually is a recent new S rank unit that has been added to the game, and that's a new frame for #21 that is an amplifier unit. Amplifier units are huge for increasing team damage output, and she specializes in enhancing that damage, and she can also do a pretty good amount of burst damage herself, and she's also 100% lightning damage. So yes, she's an S rank, more difficult to get. You can only farm up to double S through Pain Cage, but I still think she's going to outclass Liv Lux long term. Reason being, typically as you increase your skill, #skill issue, in punishing Grey Raven, you care less about healing output and shields and survivability of characters as you do the actual damage output itself. Because if you've got the skill to dodge and you never get hit, you don't need a shield and you don't need a healer. You just want to get the damage done. That's where #21 is going to enable that. So while I will say Liv Lux will probably still keep her place as a healing unit, if you need a healer, you can totally sub her in. But from an damage output perspective, #21 is going to take it in that case. And if my information is correct, as a Gen 2 unit, she also has the time stop buff. So not only can she just enable higher damage output overall, she can then also save you time. So that's across the board, that's huge. So probably going to be #21 in this case. So that's it for tank and support. But the next category we're going to take a look at is DPS. And actually, this one's a little more exciting because we've actually got quite a few units to take a look at. Lucia Dawn is an older gen A rank unit who came out near the beginning, if not launched with punishing Grey Raven. So admittedly, she will be a little dated at this point. However, being an A rank unit, she is farmable, so you can get her up to SSS plus given time. A lot of time, but given time, you can do it. She is a split physical and lightning DPS unit, so she's got a little bit of cross utility there. However, you're probably still going to use her more on lightning teams. Her support ability is non-existent, kind of like her B rank counterpart. She very much focuses on her just pure damage output. We've all played B rank Lucia Lotus, who's just strictly a damage unit, has basically no other utility or skill to her kit. It's just hit really hard because it's the basics. Lucia Dawn falls very much into that category where she's just there to do damage as a split physical lightning DPS unit. So she's much cooler looking than I would say Lucia Lotus, the B rank unit, but other than that, she's fairly straightforward in that case. Now her competition for global is Bianca Veritas. Most players who have cleared through the story will have gotten an opportunity to at least try Bianca Veritas at some of the trial stages. She is a bow-wielding unit who can do lightning damage from a pretty good distance. Her core passive enables this arrow launching mode that just allows you to shoot out these massive bolts doing some incredible lightning DPS damage. She does not really have any support capabilities, but she is crazy for her single target and burst damage. She's currently my primary DPS unit that I use on my account, and honestly, she is absolutely crushing it from that perspective. And I would say her core passive is actually fairly easy to trigger as well. It's very gracious with the amount of time to trigger it. She's also a little bit easier to play, I'll say, in that like she's got some increased range, so you don't have to be within swinging distance of a lot of characters, which makes some bosses really easy because you just stay farther back and just attack like crazy. And if they get close, you can either dodge or use her yellow orb to get away. So overall, I would say a very powerful unit. Now, from a global perspective, the winner is Bianca Veritas by far. Her damage output is just so much more than Lucia Dawn in terms of her core passive and how you can just spam her core passive if you play right, especially if you're getting perfect dodges mixed in there. You can be triggering that core passive constantly. And then on top of that, her ult does a big AoE lightning attack that does crazy amount of damage as well. So from like a usability perspective, a damage output perspective, she totally fits that bill and just does beat out Lucia Dawn. But I do want to talk about some honorable mentions and take a look at how things change on the CN side. And this is where I personally get very excited. Lucia Crimson Weave. She is an absolutely unreal lightning DPS unit. For any of my Devil May Cry fans out there, she is just like a perfect Virgil comparison, so you can play with her. Like, she's got a counter in her kit, and she, as I said before, there's one exception to the, team rule that each unit needs to fall into their respective slots. Crimson Weave does so much damage that she is her own category in and of herself, that she can be a solo lightning team with how good she is. A heavily invested Crimson Weave is like unstoppable. If you want to see more, look up some no-hit runs done by Blanc or some other gameplay from Rexlent. They've got some great footage where you can see her in action, and as you can see here, she's just so crazy and has got to be the unit that I am most excited for. So you can be dang sure that I am going to be getting Lucia Crimson Weave 100%. Just like, look at this every time. She's also got an alternate skin too that also is super cool. That's got like these bandage wraps, but her base skin alone is beautiful. However, I said I did want to mention some honorable mentions, and we've had a brand new unit come to the CN side in the form of Noctis. Noctis is a new attack type unit or attacker unit that has been brought to CN. He is an A rank unit, so he is farmable, and personally from a design perspective, I think he is awesome. I hate that a lot of anime games don't have very strong, masculine characters. Most of them are pretty young teenage boys, the Kiritos of Sword Art Online. So seeing an actual jacked character come in and he's just boxing and doing these breakdancing attacks, he is so cool, and I think he's really fun and flashy. And being an A rank unit, he's going to be way more accessible for players, and I think he's going to be a lot of fun to play. He's not going to compare to Lucia Crimson Weave, but I am still excited for him nonetheless. He is the missing third member of the Cerberus team, which if you want to and choose to, you can use Vera Garnet, number 21 Feral Scent, and Noctis as your lightning team, and you get all three members of the Cerberus team, which is in the in-game lore, which does unlock some special animations when you have all three of them in the team together, which is really cool. And I just love the extra things and extra flavor that Kuro likes to add into the game for stuff like that. Is he a top tier? Is he going to absolutely beat out Crimson Weave? Not even close, but I still love that they add stuff like that. Final honorable mention goes to Selena Tempest as just being another lightning DPS unit. Technically, she's a Vanguard style unit, so specializes in burst DPS. However, she's a uniframe, So I'm not really going to recommend her being mixed into the team because you do lose out on some DPS by mixing Uniframes and Omniframes, but 100% if you want to do it for fun, throw Selena Tempest in your team and have fun with her there too. So just to summarize, I know we've talked about a lot of units and we've covered a lot of different details, but let's just give the quick summary for the top 3. Top 3 on global. Your tank unit is Vera Garnet. Your support unit, and only support unit, is Liv Lux. And your top DPS unit is Bianca Veritas. How that is going to change for the CN players and / what is going to change in the future for global players. Your tank unit is going to remain Vera Garnet, but your new support is likely going to be number 21 Feral Scent. And your top DPS unit is going to be Lucia Crimson Weave. No contest. Like, there's just no comparison. She is going to take that slot. But that's going to be it for this video, guys. I hope you found the information helpful in talking about these characters and their kits. I know it's a lot of information, a lot of things to talk about. I tried to really condense it to make it more digestible for you, but that's going to be it for this one, guys. If you've made it this far in the video, thank you so much. You're a real one. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.